Religious Knowledge Systems and Ethics by Andrea Barclay. Okay, so first of all, religious knowledge systems are basically focused on knowledge claims about spirituality and the metaphysical nature of the world. Within religious knowledge systems, we can have personal and shared knowledge. For example, personal knowledge is based on your own experience. For example, if you've gone to a retreat, so the way you felt it on that retreat, and it changes your ideologies, your human interactions, and the way you think of yourself. So depending on your religion, you might act differently towards others depending on their behavior, and you may think differently of yourself and your capabilities. And also there's shared knowledge, which is a knowledge that everyone shares. And we can know that there are many religions that look up to a power figure, for example, God. And for example, within the Catholic Church, there are commandments and prayers. But also within religion, there are many gray areas that obviously all religions don't cover all of the unanswered questions that we look for religion to answer. And within religious knowledge systems, there are also ways of knowing, which I related with memory, faith, and reason. So memory, there are many discussions about memory that it focuses on the belief rather than by the way an individual recalls a certain event. And we also have to take into consideration that there are also factors that affect memory, such as trauma, and this memory has an influence on our knowledge. So our memory of a certain experience will lead us to belong to certain religions. And there's also faith, which, although religion is fundamentally based on faith, it does not necessarily faith does not necessarily refer to only religion. And faith can also be misplaced, or it should. Some people even say that it should not be used as a way of knowing because it's not evidence-based. But this can be either a good or a bad thing. And also, sometimes it can be lack of faith when you demand for concrete evidence. So it means that you don't quite believe on the religion. And also reason, because you go beyond our senses and logic. And some people may argue that reason does not play a big role in religious knowledge systems, but I will go into that later. And within reason, we can see the nirvana fallacy, the naturalistic fallacy, the slippery slope, and the appeal to authority. And the appeal to authority links directly with religious knowledge and the power figure like God or the Pope, which are authority figures. There's also ethics, which focuses on how humans should act, and there's also morality. Within personal knowledge, we have our morality, which is differentiating what's right and what's wrong. And some people argue that morality should be universal, but we actually decide in personal knowledge of ethics, we decide what to believe in, and we assume that our knowledge is correct. But there's also shared knowledge, like how we view societies and certain behaviors. And ethics can be seen as a social function that at the same time is connected with reason, faith, memory. And within ethics, we can see utilitarianism, deontology, special pleading, which is when you redistribute the society roles, and also even religious ethics. And utilitarianism could be like what decision gives a greater good. An example from the ways of knowing are heaven over hospital, for example. And if the kid is it ethical for her to be able to end her life? and what role does religion play in her situation, because her parents tell her that God will be in heaven and that they will love her, that he will love her even more than they do. There's also sterilization, and if the mothers are in the condition to make such an important decision, being that impaired, and if they are that impaired, how can they take care of their children? Would it be considered morally reprehensible or a bribe for the project prevention to pay them $300 for sterilization? Can it even subsidize their behavior? And is the group and the mothers acting ethically by the group by providing them, and the mothers by maybe preventing the babies from suffering? And there's also Harris versus Prothero, and Harris says that a religion misleads society and that it's a failed science, and that as science evolves, religion will eventually disappear because science will be able to answer all our questions. And he also, as well as Prothero, they both acknowledge that all religions are different and they depend. For example, if you have a certain problem in your life, you may result in different religions depending on what your problem is. For example, if you have a problem with violence, you may be tempted to join Buddhism. And Prothero says that religion matters a lot in a society because it motivates us economically wise, politically wise, and that we need to know something about the great religions of the world in order to make sense of the world we live in. So he acknowledges, as well as Harry, that and understand that there are different religions, and he focuses on the practices other than just the beliefs. Okay.